Okay, good afternoon, and you'll have to wait a bit until you get the lunch. Yeah, not of me. Okay, so my name is Santosh Shaastry. So I have around 10, 11 years of experience in the IT industry. So I'm a developer. Okay, not any fancy type. I still write code, still write tests, ensure the test fail, write the code, and the test pass. I follow that. So that's what I do for a living. Okay, and I work for Ultimate Trick, and I'm a consultant with one of the payment leaders in the industry. Okay, that's about me. And before we get started, let me tell you what we're going to do with this one. So there is a bit of activity in here. So pick up your hunger, right? Go for this. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Thank you. So. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of discussion, then we're going to have 4 groups, move into a room, have a bit of activity, come back and then just discuss our learnings. Okay? So, sounds good. Okay, so how many of you are developers here?
That developers are
No. How many of you are developers? Or? Okay, I still see something to think. So how many of the developers write code? All of you? Okay, because I know people who say, I'm a developer, but they don't write. Okay, great to know. So how many of you write good code? How many of you write good code? How do you write good code on the first time? Okay, so how many of you write good code? Please look your hands. Yeah, it's a question.
Not the first time, but it's not
Okay, so I saw 3 or 4 hands go up, right? I would say people who say they write good code the first time around are lying. It's a lie.
Yes.
None of us, right? I don't write good code to begin with. Since it's impossible.
If the name of your application is good, then you are not a liar if you say I write good code.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Why do you say that like we can't write it?
It's probably that we will, through the discussion, I think we'll find out why, right? So I would be lying if I say I write good code. Jokes apart, right? It's impossible to write good code because with Agile, the systems have to evolve, right? It's all about doing something, making it work, right? After a point of time, you get new features, you add new features, right? If someone says, no, you know what? I designed it perfectly. It's going to work for the next 1 year. I don't think that's going to be true, right? Anyone disagrees with that point, right? Systems have to evolve, right? You get new features, right? Agile is all about working with the teams and understanding what features the product wants, right? The business wants, incorporating them into your design, right? So if someone says, I know what is going to come 6 months later, at least, no, I cannot think that's possible, right? Okay. Sorry?
You should be sitting in the
Yeah, you should be an astrologer. Sitting in the devil, oh, it's a okay. Yeah. So for those who still code, right? So can you tell me where was the last time you refactored your code? Refactoring. Heard of refactoring? I hope. But how many of you actually practice it? When was the last time any one of you can just speak up and tell me when was the last time you refactored your code?
During the hardening phase. During the hardening phase.
Okay, so when was it?
End of other.
So the last time you did it, when was it? Last week?
I'm not a developer.
Oh, okay. So any developers can speak up. So when was the last time you did it? Last week, last month, 6 months ago, last year, 5 years ago?
Last week.
Last week? Who said last week? Fantastic. Fantastic. Great.
Daily basis.
Daily basis? Okay. So can you think of what's the best time to refactor? Anytime? Once you release the product? Okay. Okay. So we'll answer that question. We'll just delay the answer a bit. So why did you refactor? So what did you refactor? Okay, maintaining the code.
Make your code efficient.
Code efficient.
Make your implementation. This is different different, but the functionality is still the same. I mean, you can tie all the rules in
Yes, I'm not too sure if that's going to make the code efficient, but yes, probably if you're referring to readability and things like that.
clear optimization.
Okay. We're still changing something, so
To become
Easy to understand.
to make it self-explanatory.
Readable and maintainable.
self-explanatory, great.
Scalable in the future.
Scalable in the future, okay.
Clear the technical.
Extendable.
Secure the code coverage.
Improve the code coverage. Okay. You should have done it the first time. Okay, they missed it. Okay, you talk about legacy systems. Okay, so variety of factors.
Clear the technical debt.
Fantastic. Clear the technical debt, right? That's one of the primary reasons someone should be refactored, right? So going back, the first thing that I asked, right? We were talking about what is a good time to refactor, and we talked about that is you accumulate a lot of technical debt, right? So what? I hope all of you know about technical debt, right? So you write some software, right, to support some business functions, and in the process you do something that you say, oh, you know what, I put the zip loop in there and I'm good for now, right? I had some airflow, it looks ugly, right? It looks I'm just giving one example of writing back code, right? You could do it in 100 other ways, right? I'm just giving some arbitrary example. Write a for loop there, okay? This could be done in a better way. But you see that with the time constraint that I have, we all work, it's time box, right? So it's not realistically possible to make the best solution at that point of time, right? If someone is going to tell me, you know what, like I said, right, I wrote good code, that's not possible, right? There are thoughts that go on your mind, right? You add new code, you see your colleague adding new code, you review his code, you say, oh, you know what you wrote makes sense, and I'm going to take that idea and implement in the model that I'm going to work on. Things happen like that, right? So, okay, right? So, you accumulate technical debt, no matter what, right? You write code and you see, okay, things that have to be cleaned up, right? So that is one of the compelling reasons why you should be refactoring your code, right? Because if we do not, right, 6 months down the line, the product says, you know what, I want to add this page and add this buttons and stuff, you say, oh, you know what, not happy, I'm not going to do it, right? Because if I touch that code, I don't know how many bugs am I going to introduce, right? And then you go to, it happened to me, right? I go to my team once, right? There was a feature that was requested, some security and suffering that. So I went to the team and I said, okay, guys, we have this, and what are we going to do? They said, can you do it? Nobody volunteered to touch that piece of code. This happened like quite some years ago, okay? People are scared to touch that code, right? The moment I said, okay, this is the module I think we're going to touch, they said, boss, I'm not here, you're on your own. Right? I hope some of you have been in that situation. Right? People say, oh, you know what, we touched that code, you are going to introduce bugs in production. I'm not ready to take the pain. Right? So, one of the speakers that I listened to, right, he said, it's like a dark room in the grandpa's house. Nobody wants to go inside. There is a ghost inside, it's got a handful of you, right? So, it's that if you accumulate technical debt beyond a point, right, we are going to end up in a situation like that where people do not want to touch the code, right? So cleaning up on a regular basis helps you keep your code sane, readable, maintainable, right? And people are not scared to touch that. It's going to help, right? That's one of the reasons why you should be refactored, right? So, how many times those who have refactored the code, you've been questioned, why the heck do you do it, right? Things are working, why the hell do you want to touch that? I've been asked that question a number of times. Right? Nobody? I was surprised. Okay.
Yeah, that is no one agreed with, then that's a lie. See, that is a general mentality. Don't trouble the trouble until the trouble troubles you.
Wow. I'm sorry. So the general perception is that if you build something's working, right? We're talking about the management, we're talking about the product owners, right? They think the feature is working, right? Clicking on the login button, it logs in. Why the heck do you want to touch that? That's the general perception that people have. right? So there are ways and thoughts that you could overcome that, right? So the more you accumulate the technical debt, the difficult is going to be convincing people to, agree to refactoring. First of all, I don't even believe that you have to let it go to that level, right? Like I said, I'm going to go and address one question we had in between, right? What is the best time to refactor? Right? It's as soon as you write the code. It's as soon as you write the code, right? So that's why we have pair programming, we have code reviews, right? What do these help? It helps keep your code maintained, it helps keep your code sane, right? But on a personal note, for me to get to that level, it's taking like 5-6 years of practicing this refactoring as a technique, as a process. Right? It's not easy, it's extremely difficult, especially with legacy systems where you don't have test cases, you do not have robust say code comments, or you do not have a defined patterns, you do not have a defined design. It's going to be extremely difficult, right? So like I said, when you question, will you be questioned? Yes, people will question you if you go and tell your product owner or your management, you say, give me 2 sprints, you know what, I'm going to refactor the code. They say, are you insane? Get out of the right? They're not going to accept. So going back and just collecting our thoughts, right, before we go to the activity. So it's all about refactoring as soon as you could, not put it to a later stage, right?
Can I ask you a question or challenge you on that? When you write code for anything, you always have some urgencies that you have to describe on or applies to. You make decisions as a developer, right? From my perspective, you make those decisions to write code that is not good according to you. But then the next time when there's a new feature that you want to add in, you put your effort into refactoring. Because if you always think about, okay, then you will never leave that piece of code.
Excellent point, alright, excellent point, right? Like I said, it's time box. You do not have all the time in the world to write a good code. If someone is going to say, you know what, I'm going to write this module, this file of 10 lines, you take 2 months, it's excellent, commented, no, you have lost the edge, right? The business has lost the edge. He is very, very true in saying that you do what is necessary at that point of time. You don't have to agree that it's very difficult to think of either, right? You do what best you could do at that point of time. Like he says, go back and correct it. And this is where one of Abhishek's, I think he said, self-motivation, right? It's very, very important to be self-motivated. If you have a bunch of folks, developers you're working with, your colleagues, who are not self-motivated, who say, it works, I'm okay. Right? You're never going to go this route. Trust me, I've been one of those folks, right? I've said, like refactor, things work, right? And again, the ego, right? You say, oh, you know what, I know what I wrote is correct. And trust me, people are very, very possessive about their code, right? They're like, oh, you know what, I want to work it. Get off, I don't want to work with you anymore, right?
That's I want to add one point. How many of you guys use a concept called rollback review? Rollback review.
Rollback sessions.
What I did in my previous one company is rollback review itself, where we bring anybody in the company. It's open invitation. We just put the code, run through it. They will give us all the not our friends, not below people. Anybody in the company can come and follow. Yes, for that you need to be open.
So the behavior, what Abhishek's presentation talked about, right? The behavior, self-motivation is very, very important as I see. Like what Maran said, I wrote some code. You need to feel bad about writing some bad code, right? If you're good about writing bad code, I think the job is to write code, good quality code, right? Unless someone has that motivation to remember, right? To know that, okay, what I wrote is not good, not right thing to do, right? It's okay to not look at that point of time. The next time you come around, you look at it, right? Please, you have to ensure that that's corrected, right? I think Zach wanted to add something.
Brilliant point, and thanks for bringing up this topic. Very initial point from achieving agility from today's development standpoint. So one is the framework that we follow from Scrum or the scale version, right? So 2 points I want to cover that's what I'm going to right? There are 3 critical areas for the developers or the lead that we are working in over there, right? So one is what we say the peer review or the review that we do for the code snippet or the kind of to do it. So that will actually identify the problems or the refactoring that there in a particular module. But what I have seen essentially is needed, the person with that module level or the technical level or the architect level, they have to do for a bigger feature a holistic review, which needs to happen if you can do every sprint. And I have seen and also the organization where they do it continuously. Not necessarily that you fix it then and there, you carry forward its objective and then as and when a business permit or a PO permit, you take it across with your release and get it fixed. Peer review, as you said, as an SP practice is an essential part and parcel. You don't have to follow XP per se for end-to-end if you don't have all the ingredients and the practice in place. But you can essentially put two peer programming person and have aspects of different person. As you said, right? I might not be writing as good code as you do, and this is other case also, right? He might not be able to write the component that the other person is doing. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have the XP in place, even in your Scrum in the base model, and you have this practice in place. I think a lot of these things can be get addressed, and I think thanks for bringing this point.
Good point, thank you so much. So what we'll do is we'll have a bit of activity to reinforce refactoring, right? That's the topic. We need to do something about it, right? So we're going to have the same 4 teams, right? Let's move into one of these rooms, right? Each of the teams. So we're going to have a simulation, right? So the idea is to see, how isolating debt or how not refactoring your code is going to hurt you in the long run, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is split into the same 4 groups, right? As we had in the previous activity. So we're going to have some post-its, nothing written on it. It just indicates a story, okay? So take as many post-its as you can, okay? You're going to put the post-its on one end, okay? All the entire thing stands on the other end. Clear so far? Yeah. So what we're going to also do is we're going to earmark some people as the testers, right? Majority of them as developers, and I will need 1 or 2 managers for each team who are also going to time the whatever we're going to do. Clear? Yeah, we're going to have a team with developers, testers.
You want managers or Scrum Masters?
I want, either. I'll tell you why. I said managers and not Scrum Masters because we want them to scream at it. Right? We want to simulate it, right? When you go to the manager and say, you know what? You're not able to deliver more features. Come on, what are you going to do, right? Scrum Masters don't do that. Why? They're a lot more polite and diplomatic, right? So we want managers who can scream.
Do we need managers in that?
Good one. So this is the activity, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a 30-second sprint, right? So each sprint, the developers are going to go, each developer picks only one story at one point of time, which is nothing but a post-it. You go to the to-do board, pick it, come back to where you are, put it on the other side. Okay? And the testers, one at a time, pick whatever is done, go back and put it in the tested board, which is of course on the other side. Clear? I'll explain again. Okay, so there are 2 sides, right? So you stand here.
So let's say they go into a room.
Right? So
There's 2 sides.
okay, so here and there, right? So we put all the post-its there which are presumably stories, right? So you come and wait here. We start the timer, okay? We go to the other side. You pick.
This kitchen. My fault. It's my fault.
Put this down. So we go to the other side, right? When the timer is on, we pick one at a time. Each one gets to pick one at a time, right? In the team. You come back, put it on your side. You place it there, right? So the testers, like 3 or 4 testers who are ready, they pick each of those done ones and put it back there. Okay? Simulates development and testing, QA. Okay? Fair enough? Right? So we're going to do that, right? And during the activity, we are going to introduce some constraints, which I think, let's keep the suspense for a bit to go there and do it, right? So I would request, so we're going to do a practice sprint in the room, right? And then 3 sprints to reinforce this thought process. So, groups, please move into the rooms.
So we have
Please
4
take your
rooms,
chairs along. We need the chairs as
Do you
well.
need any facilitation to help you, or can you deal with it?
Fine, fine.
Okay, alright, then I will open up. So this is what
we're going to do, right? All of you come this side, right? All of you stand here. So when the timer is on, okay? Can you start?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to run, right? I'm going to pick my story, right? I'm going to come back and put it in the done place, whichever it is, right? The amount of place, right? As soon as someone is done, the testers are going to wait, right? I'm done, so you could pick that, right? You're testing it. Go and put it back, say here, this is done. This is really done, right? This is exactly what I want you to do. But with a lot more post-its, as many as you can get here. Put like around 30-40 stickies. Try to finish everything.
One at a time?
One person.
But
How many
all
people
the
you
rest
have?
are
Lot
the
of people.
developers.
Yeah. That's why I need 30-40 stickies there. Right? So put it here. So
But one person at a time or it's...
no.
one person.
Each person can pick one at a time. One sticky at a time. Testers can pick only one at a time.
only one person should be
running.
You can have
It's a sprint, right? So all of you get to code.
Yeah, all together. Go
Right?
pick one and...
Pick only one though. Put it there. Don't pull it in between and say I'm done, right? We're going to simulate something, right? So put it here and then testers are going to test it. Clear? Any questions?
So it's for 30 seconds.
Right. So what we're going to do is sprint one, right? He's going to time. You don't run, right? He's going to time. Okay. We're going to see how many stories you complete in 30 seconds. When I say complete, we're going to count how many is here. So you're going to count them, right? I need support, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how many is done here, right? You count that, right? Second sprint, what we're going to do is get these chairs in between. You're going to put the chairs here, right? Don't move inside, but don't hurt yourself, please. Still, I want you to simulate the same thing and tell me how many stories you're able to do, right? And then we'll try and, third one, once you're done, we'll probably talk about that, right? Fair enough? Any questions?
After the second sprint, are we going to wait for you to come back and then...
I'll be here. I mean, I'm not developing anything, so I'll be running around. Yeah? Okay.
They have to start there. From there, yes.
Can we think a little loud and then say, okay, what are we trying to do? Maybe developers are giving a lot of stories, but testers can't test everything, or what are we trying to simulate? And then maybe, what is the objective of the group? To optimize it, or to really simulate the real-life situation and then learn something from it? What is the objective?
So basically what is the word is that, all the developers are going to pick up one story of them and going to paste it over there. And we are the group of 3 or 4 testers, 3 testers are going to pick it up and then make it over that cardboard. And he said to do it one sprint and then we'll take up the lessons learned later. That's what right now this is also.
Like,
These are all
What will be the objective of the group? I think the velocity, or in terms of learning, what will happen? For example,
No, these will be treated as tech debts.
Okay.
These obstacles will be treated as tech debts.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't remove the tech debts, your velocity will come down drastically. That is what the learning is.
eventually come to that velocity of anything. That might be.
Okay. Yes.
so I'm this manager.
I am the manager. I screen it.
And I am the timer. Okay. So you start. I will be timing.
So only the moment you
Guys,
stop your...
Yeah.
Guys, I need as many stories as you can, and I need at least 30 as my velocity. Come on, start. Move. Come on, move. Come on, move. No, I'm not getting the right. Come on, move. I don't see it happening. Come on, guys. I don't see it happening. 15 seconds. With this velocity, we can't run. Come on, run faster.
10 seconds.
I don't want this.
Left by 5 seconds.
Move faster.
5 seconds.
I don't see many things clear. I don't think
Stop.
we can beat our velocity.
Stop.
So close.
Careful. Stop.
No.
Put it counted.
No.
It's one thing.
What's the ratio for testers and developers?
They said 3:1, but I
No, you
can
go just 3-4
It's okay.
enough.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, what you found is, of course, it's not realistic, right? But the idea is to get to the thought that the more obstacles you have on your way to developing software, right, in the long run it's going to hurt. Right? 5 to 4, yeah, not a big difference, but realistically it's going to hurt a lot. Right? Now what I want you to do is have the obstacles in between as you had in the second sprint. This is the third sprint we're going to do, right? Time again, 30-second sprint, right? For each story that you pick and you put there, you remove one of the chairs. For each story you put there, you remove one obstacle out of your way. So that's going to help your colleague, that's going to help you, right? And see how many you are able to do. Maybe more, right? Can you just...
So the tester has to remove the chair when he's
Not the tester, the developer, right? Tester doesn't clean my code, right? I clean my code.
So this is about
Sure.
when you do a sprint, right, you have a retrospection, like some people that might have inputs, like you can do something, but should we take up?
Not in this activity.
Not like
Yeah. The intention is different, right? Yes, ideally you would do that, right?
Yes.
You would say, oh, you know what, that person cleaned up this body, it was helpful. That's a retrospective. Not for this activity, right? So I was expecting 20, 30, said 5 and okay. So get more testers if need be, right?
team 3 or team 1? Okay, we will leave it as team. So,
With respect to this topic,
okay. So, we realized that there were a lot of developers who were coding and let's say the code was ready for testing, but the size and number of testers were very limited. So, although there were many stories. Okay, so the code which is not ready to deploy. So, for example, if the definition of that is development, testing plus refactoring, the outcome is very limited. We don't do everything in complete circle. So, we planned and said, okay, this is what we are going to do, and no point in just doing a lot of stories, but again, without any refactoring and development and testing, the velocity of the whole team is very limited. So in our exercise, we were doubling our effort or the output when we planned things, and then we were able to do testing and refactoring within the sprint.
next week. Oh, no.
Hi all. As a team, we observed that in the first sprint, when we were writing the code and all, so we had eight user stories we were able to complete it in the first sprint. But when we have obstacles, so we had we did 4 user stories done, and then when we have when we started doing the obstacles, when we started improving ourselves, we did 7 user stories we are done. So what our learning was, basically, when we write basically we should test, we should code, and then we refactor. So that's what TDD also implies that also. So when we start doing the obstacles, when we refactor, when we are actually doing the seeds in between the obstacles, our velocity was increased, and we could able to deliver much better, and our velocity also got increased.
That's it. Thank you. Next team. Okay, everyone is hungry. We'll stop here. Okay. So the takeaway is this, right? We start writing code to deliver features, right? In all earnest intentions, we write good code, right? We don't even realize what we are accumulating there, right? Because all of us want to do a good job, right? So we think what we do is correct. We think we write good code, but the reality is different all the time, right? I've spoken to like folks who are thought leaders in this area, right? That's what even they say. Even they say the code that I write is not good in the first run, right? So first sprint, you ran, you delivered some stories, right? Whatever was the velocity X. Second sprint, we introduce the obstacles which are nothing but that represent your technical debt, right? The bad things in code that you accumulate that prevent you from, modifying the design of it or delivering the subsequent features, right? The velocity kind of definitely goes down, right? Imagine we didn't do the sprint 3. Instead, we persisted with that code, right? Imagine we do a sprint 3, sprint 4, sprint 5 with that same setup. Do you think velocity is going to go up? No, right? It's going to go down. It's going to hurt. You may learn anything. simulate that, sorry about it, but sprint tree, for each code that I write, I also refactor in the sense that I remove some obstacles, right? So what does it do? It helps you personally, because the next time you write, oh, you know what, I did it. A feel of goodness, plus it keeps the design better, understanding it is much better, right? Not only that, for the team as a whole, someone else looking at the code, right? They say, oh, you know what, I know exactly what this code is doing. Right? As and when you clear. Now imagine the whole team does this effort religiously. Right? Again, I'll go back to Martin's point, right? Let's not spend too much time refactoring, right? Do what is right at that point of time. But as much as you could within that time box, right? You have 2 days to deliver a feature, fine. Whatever best you could do, solution you could get in those 2 days, do it, right? That's for the developers. The managers, product owners, understand this is the difficulty team is going to go through. Right? You might ask why the velocity is going down, right? Maybe one of the causes, and most likely one of the causes is team is not able to run as fast because of the obstacles they've created for themselves. Maybe that's the time we need to go back and tell the team, oh, you know what? Maybe you need to look into that, right? And not the product owner in general, right? Anyone from the team, right? Make that practice, and that's going to really, really help. So that's the learning I wanted all of you to have. And one last slide, right? So some essentials, right? You need to have good test cases to actually do refactoring, right? It's not like a refactor I extracted some method, right? And the product is not even working. Unacceptable, right? And when we are refactoring, this and the last one go together, right? There's something called a two-hat paradigm, right? Which is like when you refactor, put the hat on refactor, right? Don't fix bugs. Don't introduce new functions into the platform or the system that you're building, right? When you're refactoring, just refactor, right? Because honestly, when I started refactoring 5-6 years ago, I was getting into this habit, right? I used to get very excited and say, oh, you know what? I find a bug, I'm going to fix it there. Don't do it, right? When I say don't do it, it's not with the intention of not doing it forever, right? Don't do it when you're refactoring, right? If you want to do that, finish whatever you're doing, remove the refactoring hat, right? Put on your functional or developer hat, right? Whatever that is, right? To develop features, then deliver your functions, fix bugs, whatever you want to do, right? Because refactoring by the very definition says you do not alter the external behavior of the system. All you're trying to do is keep your internal structure safe, right? And very important, right? Self-motivation, willingness to clean up the mess, right? Right? I was once a guy who said, okay, why should I clean it up, right? It works. It's very easy to say that, right? So, take the help of an agile coach. You yourself should transform into a leader, right? Who's willing to clean up the mess. Right?
Voice code.
Sorry?
Voice code.
Okay. I'll explain.
You can.
He said voice got rule, right? Can you explain a bit?
Yeah, it's like it came from the voice code principle. And can you give him the mic? What is
Voice code.
it's like voice code. Okay. Hello.
Voice code.
Hello. 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 Okay. So it came from the voice code principle. Like voice code. So it follows the rules. Like what they do is like they clean up the area when they come to the ground or they clean up the environment. It's like
That's it. Yeah. Even I would like to
Okay, so according to me, the voice code is about leaving the code in a better position than it was when you first looked at it. Just like a Boy Scout. So Boy Scouts actually they always clean up after them. When they leave the room in a better. When they leave the room in a better position than it was initially. So as a developer, you leave the code in a better position than it was when you first started using it.
Excellent point. One thing that comes to my mind immediately, right? There was this image sometime last year or the year before where they said bunch of Japanese people watching a game. I don't remember which game was that, right? The game? Brazil. Yes, in Brazil. He's right. So the World Cup, right? There was one arena, right? One place where they cleaned up Japanese people, right? And the match was over. And before they got out, they cleaned up the place. Nobody asked them to do. It's not a rule. They did it all. I don't know. That image kind of registered in my mind. Whenever I think of refactoring, it kind of hits me hard, right? So whatever we could do here, we could do elsewhere as well. That's the other learning we could think of, right? But I would like to close this with one image, right? Which might not a good thing to show you before lunch, but okay, don't let your code stink. For God's sake, right? For all the developers out here, for everybody here, right? Do not let your code stink. Okay? When I showed this presentation, right, I was putting this together, and this is one reason why it got delayed. I said, is it even, okay to put it there? So I showed it to my friend, right, who works in a different company. I said, this is exactly how my code looks. It's like, okay, this is exactly how I want, right? So this is what we don't want to do, right? We want to clean up the mess that we have in our code. So I hope I was able to reinforce the thought of refactoring to all of you. So thank you, Providence. Thank you, Scrum Bangalore, for organizing this event. Excellent job, all of you. Thank you so much.
We're talking about the developer code, right? What about tester?
The same thing applies there as well. Right?
That's what my question is.
I think when you say code, you're talking about the automated test cases and just, yeah, of course, right? Any new functions added, right? Any new thing that's going to happen on the developer side, of course, it's going to have an impact on the QA side as well, right? You need to keep your test cases as the same one, right? If you run your test cases and it starts failing in the integration environment where your automated cases are running, it's not going to look good. So it does apply there as well. So thanks for bringing up that.
The tester is also a developer.
Everyone is a developer, yes. Yes, of course.
Coder and tester. And together they are developers.
Yeah.
Yeah, in most of the test code, most of the testers follow a factory pattern, so either one factory pattern or the other. How does this apply for automation test scripts, for automation test framework?
Yeah, sorry.
Later?
I think I hear some people saying it's 45 minutes late. And I said, wow, I think you're okay with it. I'm confused. Should we go for lunch or should we take that in the open house?
I think I need to talk to you.
Quick lunch?
Okay, I think people are hungry.
I appreciate it.
So